Hopefully my audio isn't absolutely awful, but not gonna lie, it's probably not gonna be very good. Anyway, yeah, if you hadn't noticed already, we're back for season 9. But not only are we back for season 9, we're back for Monaco at round 1. That's alright, this one could be fun. Right, let's get the old menu up. We have 17 in currently. I believe keys disconnected, and we may be waiting on one of the Mercedes, which would be Hennessy. So yeah, we're looking at a solid grid as well to start the season, as you would expect. Right. Bosh, so here we are, the first car's out. I need to turn my own sound down, otherwise I'm literally going to be deafening myself. There we go, there's a couple of drivers as well reserving today in Tier 1, which could possibly cause more incidents, who knows. Either way, I think we'll be lucky to have more than about 10 finish. In all seriousness, this could be either a surprisingly good race, or things could go very wrong very quickly, and I'm here for it, so I'm not going to complain. Either way, we have a couple different rules in qualifying, I think. Well, not different, but a couple of important things just to mention is the fact that specifically for qualifying, we are clamping down on getting out of the way. So it means if the driver's on a fast lap and you're heading, you may be in the way, you head straight off down a slip road and you're allowed to reset to tracks. So resets to tracks in quali are allowed, just in case you pick up on those and think, oh, that seems odd and out of the ordinary. Well, it is allowed. And also yellow's in sector 3, and we've not even got onto a lap yet. That'll just be people slowing down to set laps up. But here we go on board with PSC through the first sector, as sector 3 is bunching up, as you would expect already. We'll follow the Red Bull, who is... oh, a bit of a snap there from PSC as he heads through the first sector. Of course it's purple because he's the first one to make it through there, or maybe the second behind Jose Feliz in the... no, he is the first to make it through that section, I believe. He is reserving for Shui, and then... oh, sorry, audio cut. Oh, there's a spin already, though. We're on board with him, and PSC has already been the car. But as he gets going again, we will... I'm trying to figure out why this is very loud humming noise. Oh, it doesn't matter. Alright. Anyhow, that's a purple sector 1 by the hat of Matt Copper as he heads into the... do you know what? I don't know the corners of Monaco. This is going to be a problem. Anyway. Through the tunnel goes Matt Copper 97. He has that purple sector 1, he'll hope to reciprocate it in sector 2 as he heads into the braking zone, and there's a tag to the inside wall. I knew that he'd be worried about doing that, and he's just done the exact thing he was worried of doing, as he'll get immediately out of the way. There's a couple of people are setting times. The fastest on the board so far is a 1:10 0.19. We have Procar in Sector 3. Let's see what kind of time he can post. Will it be representative? Will it be competitive? He is, after all, reserving into Tier 1 from Tier 2, but he posts himself in P4 as it stands, ahead of the AlphaTauri of Jack and the McLaren of Zylo. Of course, there's been a lot of transfers as well over the change between Season 8 and Season 9. But going into Season 9, the reigning champion, Bram, currently in 3rd. This is going to be a pain. Right. Anyway. We had onboarded with Wickers here, who's now in the AlphaTauri, having been not re-signed by in the Alfa Romeo, having not been re-signed by the AlphaTauri team into this new season. Given that the AlphaTauri team owner has now joined Red Bull in an attempt to win the Constructors' Championship back with Shui. And it does make a lot of sense, but with neither of them here in the first race of the season, it will be up to the two reserving for them, PSC and Sir with Face, to bring home as many points as possible. I also believe that the point system has changed, but I can't confirm that because there is, shall I say, a debate going on about it. Essentially, it's a 50, it shouldn't be a 50-50. Ideally, we are now running a new devised points. Oh, a bit of a drift there from Wickers as he heads back into the pits. That was quite something. As everyone now makes their way into the pits to... well, everyone except Sir with Face and the other Red Bull. It is Callum who currently is on pole. He moved from Alfa Romeo last season to Alpine, following a whole number of team principal changes as well, which would affect driver seats and what have you, with driver relationships and all that jazz. As invalidated lap for Sir with Face, he's going to probably box now, he does. As we come back out, it is Cormac who leads the way. No, it would be Callum, the current pole sitter, who leads the way of those just coming out of the pits now. Going for a second run on the 10-minute mark. So I believe the new point system is that every position will obtain points as long as you finish the race, and it will go up to 35 for first position. I have to confirm that purely because it's kind of a bit of a debate right now as to whether or not that is used. As we see Callum heading through the first sector, it's a 1/10 down on his current pole time. But his current pole time is a solid 10th ahead of the next fastest car. So maybe he... oh, having said that, the first time into the 109s, it's Zylo, the new signing from McLaren. McLaren with a very strong Tier 1 lineup now. And Zylo proving that they have the pace to compete. Putting himself on provisional pole position with the first 109 time of the session. And the second 109 time of the session, posted immediately after, is the reigning Tier 1 champ Bram, proving that he's still got what it takes to possibly go 2 from 2 in Season 9. Callum aborts this lap, which is a shame because we just watched all of it. We'll go on board with Jack now in the AlphaTauri. He did not improve through the first sector, and he straight lined the chicane, so but we'll go on board with Chasmeister now, also reserving from Tier 2, as he heads up to the line, can drag himself from 16th without a time set, only up to 14th, although that may be just what he was expecting, given he may not be on the pace of some of these cars. But he is, well he's not, he's 4/10ths off of his teammate, but he's only one position behind his teammate. 5-place grid penalty for Mac DM30 for a collision with Slick. No grid penalty for Slick. Interesting, because I just assumed that they give him both ways for contact. Anyway, so I didn't see that incident, but that may be, well, I mean it can't be protested, can it? So anyway, this is BRT Jacob now, making a return to FWL Racing after a season out or so. He is now at the AlphaTauri outfit, well, not rebranded, but newly owned and ran. 5-place grid penalty for Keys for a collision with Exotic through the tunnel section. We just saw it on board with Jacob there. So everything's happening now at Monaco, and if I'm honest, I'm surprised it hadn't happened sooner. 6:65 up to the line to start another lap. And there's Keith now with a 5-second penalty as well. That will not be helping his hopes for this race and to retain the Williams World Drivers' Championship. And everyone now. Oh, Wickus is... That's a track reset. Ah, we got you. That's in qualifying. That's not allowed. That's allowed. Bugger. Wait, maybe it's not, you know. No, it's not allowed because it weren't evasive action. It's not allowed. Someone clip that. Oh, anyway. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a lively commentary today. I'm absolutely wiped out. But I have to do. More yellows in Sector 2. Out of the exit of the chicane. Looks like it was maybe one of the Alpines or even a Williams? May have been Keith, in fact. Straight lined the chicane or even dropped it on exit. He's got no front wing. He'll be returned to the pits. He's got 5 minutes to get back out. That's more than ample time. But he's currently in P6, so he can't be too unhappy, although with that 5-place penalty it could be pretty detrimental to his race. As it stands, Zylo and Bram are the only two drivers to dip into the 109s, although there are drivers who we may expect to dip into the 109s like Shuey and Jack Ledford, who aren't here this race, and also Hennessy, who I thought would be joining, was not joining. So interesting. Anyhow, that was a nice little view of the safety car, or the medical car maybe. Yeah, it's not. Oh. Everybody now in the pits or heading out for a final run. Those who've gone out early will be hoping that they get out early enough that they aren't blocked by the time the end of their last lap comes around, and there won't be too much traffic as other drivers try to set up a nice final lap. The play could possibly be leave it to as long as possible, but then you run the risk of not making the flag at all. But I mean, in qualifying at Monaco, all-out guerrilla warfare is to be expected. to be fair, everyone seems to have got a decent-ish time on the board, apart from obviously Jacob, who has yet to set a time. As Exotic heads up to the line, he will start his final run in qualifying, although he may be able to set a second if he's fast enough or aborts this lap without obtaining damage. He heads up through Sector 1. It's a very tight, twisting, turning section. Hugs the inside wall there. Hugs that one as well. And then down over the bumps of the Monaco streets. In Sector 1, I didn't catch if it was an improvement, which was a mistake on my part. It's up into the braking zone, clean enough, although a bit of curb on the exit wasn't enough to unsettle the car though, or well, give him a track limits warning and invalidate the lap. He continues, big snap there through the swimming pool section, and as he heads through Raskas and out of the last corner up to the line, DRS enabled is an improvement. It's up to P8 for Exotic. That is a rapid lap time from him, bringing that Ferrari back up into the top 10. As up to the line we see Jack in the AlphaTauri. Is there an improvement for him? Up to P7 for him. Behind those we have possibly Bram in the Williams up to the line now. Not on a representative lap time. Behind those Procan up to the line. Procan now without an improvement there. So we have the two Red Bulls as Soa Face heads up to the line. Not an improvement on that time either. Jose Files out of the last corner. DRS enabled again. Gets the power down nicely up to the line. An improvement for him? Not in the slightest. He will have to go again. PSC now with an invalid lap there. I mean, I want to be catching everyone as they come across the line, but it's very difficult. As now Slick across the line, no improvement there. There's Hamdamio over the line, not an improvement. Matt Copper up to 5th, he was already there. Wonderful. Exotic up to the line again, not an improvement. He will be gearing up for a last lap. Zylo up to the line, not an improvement. That's a 146. Bram now onto pole position, even further into the 109s, a 109.652. He's not got Shui to compete with, and he's put it on provisional pole. And as the rest of the grid start to make their way over the line as well, we have Sir with Face drags his Red Bull up to 11th. BRT Jacob gets a time on the board, but it's a 126. He's going to be going again, but it's of course not what he'd be hoping for, and returns to Tier 1 of Tier 1 racing. Further down the order, a couple met the flag, including both the Alfa Romeos. There's the Hassov, is that Matt Copper at Raskas, he boxes. Zylo now also boxes. A couple of drivers not boxing here. There's a DNF for the Alpha Tauri of Jack, where that's at the swimming pool chicane. We'll attempt to catch it with Jacob as he runs through, but it's already cleared. Callum dips into the 109s. The Tier 2 champ from 2 seasons ago. He had a solid time in Tier 1 last season, but his times almost dropped him out of Tier 1. Well, they would have dropped him out of Tier 1 had he have not been a reigning Tier 2 champion. He proves that he deserves to be in Tier 1, and that he is rightly there. Second row of the grid for him. We're waiting on Sir with Face and the Red Bull now to cross the line. I'm not sure if he is on an improved lap. No, he's not. He's on a 145. Pro-Climb boxes, and that will be your qualifying. Only a couple of DNFs. That is quite a respectable session. So there you have it in your qualifying. It is Bram on pole, setting off his title defence with a 2/10 gap to the next fastest driver. Further down the grid, of course, Keese with the 5-second place penalty, and then I believe Exotic with the other 5-second penalty. Was there another? Yeah, Cormac. That is your qualifying order. Let's see how many of these finish. Let's wait for the grid to line up for the formation lap. And away we go for the formation lap. 39 laps of Monaco here for your pleasure, and probably 17 drivers' dismay. Well, maybe 16. One of them's got to win. Two of the other ones have got to get a podium as well, so it may not be too bad. Let's have a look at what tyre everybody's on, because these are the pressing issues. So, the three leaders all on medium tyres, but Slick 65 and a bunch of other numbers opting to start on the hard compound. In my opinion, that might be a bold choice given there's the likelihood of a safety car early on, although a really early on safety car wouldn't help anyone for strategy. It gets to around lap 7, I believe, and then maybe you can box to the end if there's a safety car, but then you may be feeling pain by the end of that hard tyre stint. It's a short lap around Monaco, to be fair. It'll be interesting to see if Callum or Zylo can get a good getaway. Specifically Callum starting alongside Bram. If they can get the jump into Saint Devot, then this race could be a completely different story. And to be fair, the complexion could change in an instant as the back of the grid starts to piece itself together, and those that were straggling make up the grid, and my TV turns off, and my TV turns off again. We go to 5 red lights. Let's see from back Okay, this is a really wonderful angle. Thanks, game. Maybe at 5 red lights. Oh, there's a couple of red lights. 5 red lights. And we are underway. It looks like a decent getaway all round. Nobody necessarily bogging down too much. But into the first corner, Callum got a much better start than Bram. He's jumped him into the turn 1. And Xylo now could be alongside him as well. Callum got the attack that he wanted to into the first corner. And now Xylo could be under pressure from Slick behind. Although Slick's on the slower tyres, he might have to watch his back. He could park it through this first couple of corners though. And he may not suffer too much. Bram with a little tap on the back of Callum just to let him know he's there. And into one of the slowest corners that I think. Oh, audio gone. Right. As we head through the tunnel into braking zone, it is Callum from Bram, from Xylo from Slick, and then Jack in 3rd position. We had the positions gained from the start. It was a decent start from Exotic, getting himself up to 10th position. But no one had an awful start. Wicker's losing out 3 positions, but that's not as bad as it could have been. Bram now within 2/10 of Callum into this last straight. He's not going to send one into Sandavot. He's going to stick behind him through this sector again. And now Xylo's joining the party on the same compound of tyre. This could get very hairy very quickly for either of these 3 drivers. If they can keep it together though, this could be a titanic battle for the lead in the early stages of this race. Further behind, Wickers drops down another couple of positions. Mistake from him, it seems. He's left, so that's not ideal. His AI now picking up paces, I assume. Or just getting in the way. Into the heavy braking zone. Everyone gets through cleanly on the inside wall. But now, let's see what happens through here. As it's going to be very difficult for anyone to overtake. But if someone's got the kahunas to do it, they may just go for something incredible. And I don't want to miss it at the front of the pack. Damio and Exotic, looks like they're having a bit of a ding-dong battle. Callum setting the fastest lap. Bram dropping off very slightly from where he was a lap before. DRS is now enabled. This will help Bram and Xylo haul in Callum. Jack up to P4, Slick being dispatched on the slower tyres. But it may play into his favour later on in the race. As they slowly, one by one, through the streets of Monaco. The yellows in Sector 2, I don't know if that's anyone spinning or if that is just the track being so slow. Either way, Bram now, he sees the back of Callum, but that's all he sees. There's no move on for him, none for Xylo either, but Xylo is possibly closer. And it could be an opportunity for the McLaren driver to cement himself as a possible title contender if he can get himself up there past the reigning champ and put some pressure on the Alpine of Callum. DRS now enabled again. Xylo made a little bit of a mistake, dropped back a little bit through Raskas, and now Bram with the DRS, meaning that Callum may have to use the DRS to keep the Williams behind. Further down the field we see Procar on the back of Matt Copper, but no one is really that close to each other, although Keese has dropped down quite a number of positions. He's got PSC right on his tail. Keese hasn't had the ideal start to the season that he would have wanted through a 5 place penalty in qualifying. PSC, no move up the inside for him, although he looked for it. And now if he can get it turned around, I say if you can get turned around quick enough, it's Monaco. It's going to be one by one through the most of the start of Sector 2, and then the straight under the bridge. Procar has got the position off of Matt Copper. in a rather unorthodox position. It's a position on the track, it seems, that has bumping over the curbs, but nothing giving. Zylo within 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 2 tenths or so of Bram. Bram ahead, having to possibly now look to go defensive instead of offensive on Callum. He has got Zylo behind him, and it could pose him an issue. Although these three had better be careful that they don't start wearing their tyres up too much, because that could play into the hands of Slicks down in P5 on the hard tyres, who's holding his own with Procon behind him. Procon quite a way behind him as well, after that fight with Matt Copper, which we may well see now, although it's a very slow section. He's dropped to 1.7 off the back of Slick, who is on the hard tyres. Ooh, Zylo bumping over the curves again. They do look from certain angles as though they cut the swimming pool chicane. But instead, this front three have dropped a little bit off each other very slightly, much by a tenth or so, as they have to now begin to settle into a rhythm. And it is very, very equal between them, with then a 1.5 second gap to Jack behind. Jack, the reigning Tier 2 champ from Season 8, looking to do just as well as Callum did in his maiden Tier 1 run after winning the Tier 2 title. These three at the front, they'll have to pack it in soon, you would assume. And oh, bit of a snap from Bram there. He's lost out a couple more attempts to Callum. He's now 7 tenths behind, but he has got Zylo ahead of him. We have a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings already for Damio. Down in P9 though. You can't say down in P9 though, because P9 would get you a nice handful of points with the new system. Use the new system. We voted for it. This is a nice camera angle to see the McLaren bumping over the curbs again at swimming pool. And he is reeling in Bram by a matter of hundredths or maybe thousands. But he has got DRS, but then Bram also has DRS, being so close to the race leader. Keys and PSC heading into Ascas now. It's Williams versus Red Bull, just like it was for the title last season, but this time it's for P14 at Monaco. And it's Keys versus PSC. Into Saint Devot. No move for PSC there. Goes a little bit. Well. No. I retract whatever statement I was going to make. As Matt Copper, there's no front wing for Matt Copper. He's made contact with one of the walls maybe, or another driver. I'm not too sure, but Damio up to P8 now. He has got Jose Felix in front of him. Possibly lining up a move. No one tags that inside wall. Everyone completely smothers that curb. And back ahead now, it's Zylo's turn to drop a couple of tenths off the car ahead, as Cormac gets the position off of BRT Jacob in another very unorthodox position. Damio very close to Jose Felix. PSC very close to Keith, but BRT Jacob down to P13 as Matt Copper pits for that new front wing. Jose Felix now is overtaken by Damio, and PSC now might be able to shape up a move on Keys here. Does he have DRS? He may do. He's got through him before the braking zone, and he moves up P12 with Keys taking P13. Matt Copper and BRT Jacob both have to pit. They must have some form of damage, I would assume. Although Matt will know, since I talked to him before the race, he knows that from, say, lap 7 onwards, it could be a long slog on the hard tyres, but it is very possible to get to the end from there. Everything's thinned out a little bit in the middle of the pack, although maybe not for the Ferrari of NXS Exotic. He's got the other Haas in front of him. Jose Files doing well up in P8 as it stands. He's got Exotic bearing down on him though as they head into swim pool. No contact, or it looked like there maybe. He is right on his rear wing. There's a move up the inside of Raskas. That was something from Exotic, and Jose Files pits as a result, maybe in protest or solidarity, as Exotic moves up to P8 and Jose Files boxes. Xylo, interestingly, is now 1.3 seconds off of Bram, so a mistake there maybe from Xylo. It doesn't look like he's 1.3 seconds off. He's gaining the time here and there pretty quickly. 1.1 now from Bram. Bram is now 8 seconds, 8 tenths or so off of Callum. So everything really has settled down a little bit here. The gaps are all a second or so, bar those at the front, and then the AI of Wickus, who will not be able to, he won't be counted because he was AFK. This is AI, so he won't get this result. He won't be credited with the points. MacDM, another of the tier 2 promotees. That might be the right word, who knows. Bit of a drift there through Raskas. Bit of a drift there through the last corner, as he is in a bit of a Red Bull sandwich, but he's going to chase after Soa Face, another tier 2 promotee. That's probably right. And he gets closer and closer through each corner he passes, even though he had a couple of big snaps. Well, the rear stepped out on him in the last couple of corners. But the Red Bull ahead looks very vulnerable. And Cormac may be in a position to capitalise. Yellows in Sector 2 and Sector 3. What could that have been for? It doesn't look like there's anyone going so slowly. 3-second penalty for BRT Jacob. Multiple warnings. To go alongside the other 3-second penalty for Damio. We are yet to have a DNF from this race, which does surprise me greatly, as we saw Cormac get through on Soa Face with a bit of a snap himself out of the last corner. The drivers are struggling, but yellows in Sector 3 as Jacob DNFs in the pits. Yeah, so he's already given up. Wonderful. That's no points for him. Xylo now half a second or so off the back of Bram. 3-second penalty for Matt Copper, who moves up a position for Keith's pitting, but that 5-second penalty could be 3 second? 5 second? 3 second. Could be critical for his race. Sadly, not a lot has occurred. I was expecting more of a bit of a bloodbath, if I'm honest. However, we've been able to keep it, the majority, quite clean. And as you get a nice aerial view of the 3 at the front, all heading through one by one. 3-second penalty for Jose Files. The other Haas, both Haas now on a 3-second penalty. Jacob wasn't a 3-second penalty, but he is DNF. Cormac now is quite close to the back of Exotic. Yellows in Sector 3 as Jose Files is retired in the pits. No points for him. this is why if we get that new point system in place, and everyone actually knows that they're fighting for points, and people won't just give up when they're a bit off the back. Anyhow, Cormac with DRS. Exotic ahead does not have DRS. Harvesting down the straight, but he has enough of a gap to not even bat an iron. He just intercept the bot. And continue as though not under pressure. Although now he is definitely under pressure. The Alpine is almost pushing him through the start of Sector 2. He's got a rotation on that on the apex, but the inside for the next corner was not there. And he didn't get the traction that he might have wanted to get that move done. Well, having said that, I don't think the traction would have been possible to get that move done. A bit of a difficult move to pull off. Zylo with a 3-second penalty, I've only just noticed. It would have come up on your screen however long ago, but that blows the whole front of the grid race wide open as Exotic in AI. Would that be a mistake that's ghosted him? He's dropped down 2 positions behind Cormac and Sir. They now occupy P8 and 9 respectively. Slick 65 on those hard tyres. The hard tyres possibly now becoming about equal with mediums as the mediums begin to wear. He has Jack ahead of him. And that P4 is looking rather tasty for the Alfa Romeo debutant in the Racing League. There are not many this season who have not raced yet in this league, but 665 is one of them. And he'll want to set a tone and make people aware of his presence. Good way to do that would be a good result here. And it looks like the strategy may be going his way. Zylo overtakes Bram. Hold up a minute. What have I missed? Bram boxes. Interesting. I wonder if that had just happened and Zylo got through because of that. But Bram first to blink from the front 3. He will bolt on the hard tyres and hope that nothing goes wrong to cause a safety car and give everyone else a free stop. He'll come out in relatively clean air. He's got Damio ahead of him. You should have to give me a second. I have a message from someone. Audio is popping on the stream. Yeah, if I'm honest, there's not a lot I can do about that. Yeah. Oh, bugger. So, the only thing that could be done, I have just done, and my audio is cut completely. Well, I mean, I don't know how it's really good now, as I've kind of murdered my TV. Alright, anyway, maybe it's better now, who knows, we'll go with that. This is the best it's going to get because I have nothing I can do to fix it. We are back on board. We have PSC boxing, and Zylo has clawed back a bit of the deficit he had to Callum. Now only 7/10. He's made up the gap that Bram had imposed. 3-second penalty for Bram now as well. That evens things out as Callum pits from the lead. He was the next to blink of the front three. And now Zylo is out on his lonesome on the medium tyres, looking to extend the stint. Try and... got no ERS at all for Zylo. Callum has 73%. Bram has hopefully 100 because he's got 68%. He puts in the fastest lap of the race with less fuel on new medium tyres, new hard tyres though. As Damio boxes and may drop behind Matt Copper into 10th. Bram is looking fast on these hard tyres, and he's got Callum directly ahead of him as he had before the pit stop, so he's not been able to jump him in the pits, but it's not been... neither have lost out massively, and this fight will resume while Zylo has clean air but older tyres. Bram up the inside, they're sandwiched, and Callum has to go straight on, but Callum there just turned in a bit on Bram. Maybe the move was a little late, although possibly, well, room should have definitely been given. Maybe not, possibly understandable given it's a corner that moves generally aren't forgiven too often. It's a very small margin of error. Zylo boxes, drops behind the two. Oh, does he though? He comes out and he's jumped Bram, but then he's got the tyre warm up. Bram will have the speed to possibly get past him. It's going to be very close. Bram has the inside if he can keep side by side. He does have the inside. Zylo will drop behind. He's got to warm up these hard tyres. He might suffer for that, but that was a very close call from Zylo. Staying out with the clean air possibly gave him the opportunity, but that opportunity went begging. And it's as we were for the net P1. Callum in third, Bram in fourth, Zylo in fifth. There's about a second between the three of them, and ahead of them Jack and Slick, extending their stints. Slick on the hard tyres anyway, so he will have the benefit of the mediums when his pit window opens. Jack now boxes from the lead. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out. 3-second penalty for Exotic. Multiple warnings. Slick 65 inherits the lead on the hard tyres. He can extend, box another 3-second penalty for Keys. He currently sits in P15. It's not been a good race for him by any means. And he'll hope that he can redeem himself in round 2, which is a racing track of some description. Further down the field, Exotic 3 tenths off the back of Wickus AI, which boxes. Wonderful. So down the pits now, gets overtaken by a couple of drivers. Everyone through the pit stop phase, apart from those hard tyre runners being Slick 65, Cormac, and other hard runners. I'm not too sure who else started on the hards, if I'm honest. Damio may have. Difficult to tell. More yellows in sector 2. This could be for the other Aston Martin Pro car. No damage, at least not superficial damage. Another 3-second penalty for Matt Copper. Retiring from the race, Sir with face. That was not on off track, was it? Where is it? Where's it this way? I have no clue. Anyhow, he becomes the fourth retiree, I say, as Keith now with an incident at Swimming Pool Chicane. Slick 65 would have been the first to meet it, except... well, he's got a 3-second gap behind him to Callum. So although he's making these hard tyres work, he's going to suffer. He's going to suffer currently for just net time lost, being on the slower compound. I'll have to hope that he does have the pace on the mediums when he bolts them on to make up those positions. And from what we've seen, he may well. Although Bram is now 2 seconds off of Callum, out of DRS range. Zylo having to conserve energy massively though. Bram being on 25%, Zylo on single digits to the IS. Callum's chilling on over 60%. Cormac now under pressure from Jack. Jack gets the position there. Cormac knows he possibly couldn't fight it. Although he's got Procon down behind, reserving in the Aston Martin. Procon's very close to the back of the Alpine. There isn't a move into the chicane, but ooh, bit of a step from the rear of the Aston Martin. He's lost a couple of well, a good half a second. As Slick 65 finally boxes on lap 22 to bolt on the medium tyres and go to the end. He'll make up places on places, you would hope, with his pace, but it would be difficult given how hard it is to overtake at Monaco. Cormac will have the same problem on his hands. Overtaking at Monaco is very much an unspeakable task. As he comes out in P9 ahead of Exotic in the Ferrari. Ahead now, Callum's still without a 3-second penalty, or any penalty, and 2 seconds gap to Bram. Callum looking to start off his season just like he started last season, I want to say. I feel like he did win round 1 of last season. I feel like I've calmed it. Anyhow, Zylo now burning that 3% of ERS that he has to try and reel in the Williams in P2. But it isn't quite working for him. The Williams hasn't had the pace on these hard compound tyres. And Bram has suffered behind Callum. And he's going to keep Zylo behind now for the following 16 laps or so. There or thereabouts, give or take, me being bad at maths. 665, only down in P5 as well, so he's not lost out a lot from boxing so late, and now he is on the medium tyres. He's got Jack directly in front of him, and a 14-second gap to P3. Those 14 seconds look almost insurmountable, but P4 would be very nice on debut. As he looks to go on the inside of the Alpha Tower, he gets the move done before the braking zone, sandwiched a little bit into the corner by the wall, but the move's complete and he can head into Sector 3, setting purple times on the new medium tyres, and he can chase the top 3 with maybe a hope of catching them, but it seems unlikely at this stage. There's a long way to go still. 14 seconds and 16 laps. He'd have to gain a second a lap, give or take the fact that my maths is awful. It's possible, it's unlikely, but it's possible. Now, if you were like me and expecting quite a jam-packed, manic race, then I hope you aren't too disappointed by the big fight at the front. Although, if that is what you're looking for, then make sure to tune in tomorrow at 6 for the Tier 3 Monaco, round 1, where I will be sadly driving. And you can watch me die very quickly. Xylo, half a second back. Ooh, half a second back, but Bram ghosted. Not quite sure why, but he's now dropped down to P3. Now he has a second or so to gain on Xylo. Xylo with the P2 as it stands. Slick 11.5 seconds back, a lap or so later. It looks like he could have the pace to possibly be off the back of these two. Callum currently cruising in P1, 2.5 seconds is this gap there or thereabouts. It's been a very good race for him at his new team Alpine. The Tier 3 race is at 6 PM tomorrow, and the Tier 2 race is at 8. Either of them could be mental. Tier 3 one seems like it'll be the most mental. Bram now dropping to 1.2 off of Xylo, so he just hasn't had the pace on this on this hard tyre. It's not complemented his driving style at all, and now the gaps are really starting to thicken with Damio and Procon, the two Astons in 6th and 7th, being the closest fight apart from Bram and Xylo. Chasmeister back in 13th in the Ferrari. Props to him for continuing. Hopefully he will get the points he needs for the P13 finish. Assuming he does go on to finish this race. Damio's closing in on Procon. He doesn't have ERS to play with, although neither does Procon either. Procon doesn't have any DRS to defend, so this could become a interesting battle. Well, having said that, Xylo has now been let loose from the back of Bram, and he's now a second off the back of Callum. Is that possibly some form of team orders? Seems extremely unlikely, but Bram was not catching Callum, and now Xylo's been let loose. He's back within DRS range with a whole host of laps remaining. Callum was looking solid 2.5 seconds off the front of the field, and now he's only 9/10 with a McLaren bearing down the back of him. And if that was team orders to let Xylo go and let Xylo fight for this win, then fair play to all parties involved, because it was probably the best bet in this situation. As much as Bram may not like to admit it, he has struggled on this second stint, and it seems the most likely now that Xylo can reel in the Alpine and possibly make this an interesting fight to the line after 39 laps have been completed. More penalties here and there. We'll assess the penalty situation as the race starts to wane in to a close. Oh, rear steps from Xylo. He'll drop back a tad. 10th or so, couple of attempts for that little mistake there. He's getting mildly impatient to catch and clear the Alpine. Damio now 4 tenths off Procon. This fight between the two Astons is beginning to heat up a little. Damio With the overspeed, Procon knew that he was coming. Knew that the position was under threat, but also knew that Damio was faster than him. And team orders there? I assume so. It looked as though, and then Damio weaving a little bit, possibly to say thank you. Now it's important to note that Zylo has to catch Callum to take P1. He also has to clear him by 3 seconds, assuming Callum doesn't get a 3-second penalty of his own. And on that note, Slick 65, Chaz retires. It's a shame, but he's finally decided it wasn't worth the pain of Monaco. Retiring in the pit lane. Bram retires. Bram into the chicane. Let's have a look what happens when Damio gets there. He's missing a wheel. He's taken his wheel off on the entry. Both Williams now have DNF. That is a nightmare situation for the Williams team. Of course it is. Oh. Anyway. Now Damio is possibly holding up his teammate here. Procon, of course, he had Damio on the back of him, but now they just seem to be on the same sort of pace, that following each other, they're getting things right and being faster, but as soon as they're ahead, the lack of DRS lets them down and they immediately drop back. The DNFs have started to pile in, although they weren't for what I was expecting. No real momentous incidents. It's just been more falling off the back of the field or what have you, and then just giving up. Now, even if the system of points doesn't change and we revert to the original first attempt gain points, then everyone who finishes this race now will gain at least 1 point due to Wickus being disqualified for being in AI mode the whole time. Well, being AFK, not even being there. Zylo is 3 attempts now. 4 attempts or so, even off the back of Callum. Callum's got 48% of ERS to work with, but that ERS can be burnt very quickly when he's having to defend against DRS deployment from a chasing car. I think it's a commentator's thing. I don't think Bram has actually got a good result when I've been commentating. I mean, he went flying in Abu Dhabi when I was commentating. He got clapped at Belgium when I was commentating. And then I didn't comment any other races and he did well. Funny that. Anyway, the Astons in 5th and 6th currently. That is a very solid finish for them if it stays in that order. And a podium for Slick 65 on debut in the league. Cormac now within a second of Matt. Zylo having dropped back to a second or so behind Callum. He hasn't been able to make the move that he would have wanted to make. He's dropping back even further every now and then.
Move hasn't been on, and now the laps are ticking by. That 3-second gap is... Well, he's not even got the position, so he can't think about gaining the 3 seconds. Zylo has had the pace, but then when it's come to taking the position, Monaco has not helped him by any means, and the nature of the track has meant it's very difficult for him to take the position. There isn't a lot to be said at this point in the race. Further back, PSC looking to take 9th position off of Exotic. And now it may be worth assessing the penalty situation. Oh, we'll assess the tyre situation first. The only medium runners being Cormac and Slick. Slick has gained a lot from those medium tyres, as we see. Big mistake from Exotic. He's sent spiralling at the last exit of the last corner. And PSC inherits P9. Cormac with the medium tyres compared to Matt's 26 lap old hards. He has gone from an early point, as I had expected, but Matt also has 9 seconds of penalties. Those 9 seconds of penalties would drop him behind PSC and into 9th position. But Matt has such a gap to Procar that Procar does not have to worry about the 6 seconds of penalties that he currently has. If Cormac can't clear Matt and Matt won't gain on Procar, then Cormac doesn't become a threat to Procar, and that 6th place is safe as houses. Everything has stagnated somewhat. There's a couple of close gaps here and there, but drivers are content with the positions they currently hold and content with how their race has gone, considering whatever penalty's been applied and whatever tyres they find themselves racing on. On board with the second Aston Martin Procar, who's just stuck behind Damio. I'm going to assume he knows that Damio is the main driver for Tier 1. So the points for the WDC would be more beneficial on his side,
Although, of course, on a personal note, Procan will want to rack up as many Tier 1 points as he can to go alongside his Tier 2 tally in this season. Another 3-second penalty for Matt means that now... No, it doesn't, because Exotic's miles off really with the 6-second pens. Everyone just wants to bring this home now. Yellow's in Sector 1, possibly for Xylo. Looks like there was a mistake there. It's not looked like he was revitalising that attempt on the lead car. Dropped to 5 seconds back, but now Slick, 3.6 back. This could be where the real battle is, because Slick now 3.1. He has the opportunity of a second place. If he can get within the 3 seconds of Xylo, he's not 2.5. Xylo is struggling. Has Xylo maybe got wing damage? As we have a look on board, he's maybe got a puncture? He's going extremely slowly as Xylo. He's in AI. I'm not sure what's occurred, but it's dropped him down to P3 now. He's going very slowly. Jack behind is a long way back, so he may not benefit, although... I'm unsure of how long this problem may persist. As Xylo's race has come unstuck right at the death, Slick inherits P2 now. With no penalties, just like Callum in P1. Ten-second penalty for Xylo for restrict the C in track limits. That will drop him a long way back now. Behind Jack for P4. And if he continues to go as slowly as he is, he'll be behind Damio as soon as... well, before you know it. And then even Procan. Matt may be a stretch given we are on the last lap. But there's been an issue for Xylo. Xylo's gone from P2... and he's now looking at a P6 finish. The two Aston Martins, if they're able to finish within 13 seconds, or even ahead, which it looks like they may do. Damio passes him, Procan passes him. Matt is a long way back with a lot of penalties, but no, so it seems unlikely. Well, very unlikely. And they'll head to the line. Callum takes the flag for P1. Slick P2. Jack, the reigning Tier 2 champion, across the line for P3. Third spot on the podium. Damio takes P4. And Procan P5. A brilliant points all for Aston Martin. Xylo will trundle over the line in P6. Matt a long way back, heading on the exit now of the last corner. He'll take P7 with Matt behind him, will inherit his position. And PSC will also, I assume. And Exotic will finish off your Tier 1 race with P10. A fairway off the back, but a point's a point. And there's your finishing order. The game's voted driver of the day, Cormac. Here we have it, the podium sequence. Callum takes the win. And there's the finishing order. Everybody else with a did not finish. No need to scroll down. Although I will do just to confirm whoever was in it, I don't know. Anyhow, there we go. There's your finishing order with gaps and penalties applied. Well, I'm off because I need to sleep because I feel awful. Right. Peace.